that autumn wind. Shout out to the Raiders, man, we about to win.
Name a linebacker the Raiders should trade for right now before the trade deadline, October 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Man, that was a mouthful. Name a linebacker that the Raiders should trade for. So today's show on the Raiders Report, I'm going to break down 9 linebackers that the Oakland Raiders need to target before that trade deadline on October 29th. So why are we talking about linebackers? Because Adam Schefter, appreciate it, Shefty, on October 29th said this: the Raiders have already called around the league looking for linebackers and pass rush help. So yesterday, I made a video on 5 defensive linemen the Oakland Raiders could go out and trade for. So today, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take it up a notch, okay? We're going to do 9 linebackers that the Oakland Raiders could go out and target in a trade. Now, I'm not going to give you the trade details on all of them, but I'm going to give you some trade details on some of them. And then at the end, I'll ask you guys, who do you like the most? And if you guys don't like the players that I came up with, hit me up on IG, hit me up on Twitter, at MitchellRenz365. And you know what? Throw in some extras. Whatever you guys got, okay? Whatever you guys got. So, how many years have you been a Raiders fan? I've been a Raiders fan, and I'm being honest. I said that I didn't earn the right to call myself a Raiders fan until I went to a game. So, week 1, I went to the Raiders Monday Night Football game. I'm a Raiders fan. So, how many years, though, have you been a Raiders fan? I want you to comment it below. But here's the thing. Are you actually a Raiders fan if you're not subscribed to youtube.com/Raiders Report? We are the most watched Raiders channel on YouTube and on Facebook. And the only way that we're going to be able to grow the show is by getting diehard Raider fans. Like, for the people that type in Raider Nation for life, we're for life, okay? How many years have you been a Raiders fan? Throw it in the comments section below. Now, today's sponsor is My TV Choice, and I love My TV Choice. Why? Because they get rid of commercials, and I flippin' hate commercials. I think the only people that sit there and watch commercials are Donkey fans, Queef fans, or the Chargers fans. Those are the only people that sit through commercials. They don't know that chatsports.com/mytv can help you get rid of commercials. They probably don't even know what Wi-Fi is. But y'all know what Wi-Fi is, and if you connect to Wi-Fi and download the My TV Choice app, which, by the way, is 100% free, you can get rid of commercials for good. So when you're sitting there this weekend watching Raiders vs. Texans, plug in or download the My TV Choice app, connect to Wi-Fi, and instead of boring long commercials, you're going to be able to see content from Chat Sports. Who knows? You might even see me. Chatsports.com/mytv. Let's get into my 9 trade targets at the linebacker position for the Oakland Raiders. The first one is Kyler Fackrell. I always almost F up his name, which I'm sure you guys can understand why. So last season, he led the Packers in sacks. This season, he's not really having that good of a season, but it's because Raiders Report. It's because the Packers, they went out and got Preston Smith, Zardarius Smith, okay? To the team's credit, those players have been playing, well, very, very well. And it's a reason why Kyler hasn't really been able to really get on the field all that much. He's playing in only 58.6% of team snaps, okay? And here's the thing. He's only 27 years old. He would probably play defensive end or be like that defensive end type of player for the Oakland Raiders doing multiple different things. But I think if he's on the trade market, he would be cheap right now for the Green Bay Packers. The Raiders just played him. So maybe go out and get a player like Kyler Fackrell. Got it. Let's go to John Bostic. Maybe related to producer Alicia. I'm not quite sure. People are talking. So he's on the Redskins. The Redskins, sorry Alicia, they're not very good. They're not playing solid football. And don't be surprised if they start selling some assets. So this is an interesting quote that John said about his own team. Okay, you ready for this? He said he got bored watching the Redskins offense. I did too. They didn't put up any points against the 49ers, and yes, it was a very ugly game. But I think when you see an inside linebacker like a John Bostic, we could get him pretty cheap. But when you already have a player talking bad about your own team, it could be a reason that he might be out the door very soon. Weird phrasing. Let's go to number 7 on my list. Preston Brown, Bengals. Why do Bengals players make sense? Because Paul Guenther was just with the Bengals, and I think he could ultimately learn this, come in quickly and learn what we're doing here. So, only 27 years old. He turns 28, okay? He turns 28 on October 27th. I don't know about you, but what better birthday present could you possibly get than getting traded away from the Cincinnati Bengals right now? I mean, between you and me, I don't even know if they offered me $1 million if I'd play for the Bengals. I'll be honest, I actually probably would. Sorry to break that to you. But if you go out and get a Preston Brown who can play middle linebacker, this is a big-time need for the Raiders. Yes, he's not going to be Vontez perfect. But maybe, just maybe, he could at least fill in and add a little bit of extra depth right now because that's something that the Raiders desperately need, especially at the middle linebacker position. So we talked about Bengals, and then I'm going to talk about Paul Guenther. Should the Raiders fire Paul Guenther? Type F for fire or type K for keep. The Raiders' defense has not been good whatsoever this season. They really haven't been good underneath Paul Guenther. Now, sure, you can point the finger and say, well, we've had a lot of injuries, a lot of young players. But I'm going to point my finger at Paul Guenther and say, you're not playing our players in the right time. You're not playing them in the right positions. So should the Raiders fire Paul Guenther, F for fire or K for keep? I want to give a special shout out now to some YouTube subscribers. Lara, Dame, is that right? Sky Limit Kit, Frank Silva, David Jenkins. I appreciate y'all for subscribing to the Raiders Report, and make sure you tell your friends to subscribe at youtube.com/Raiders Report. And also, we're on Facebook Live as well, the #1 most watched show on Facebook and on YouTube. And here's some Facebook groups that I've joined. Reno Raider Nation, DFW Raider for Life, Vegas Home, Oakland Raider fans from Germany, B. Gates, Oakland Raiders in UK. Bloody awesome. If you see your group on here, take a screenshot, share it. But if you're like, wait, Mitch, you're not in my Facebook group, add me, okay? Add me. Mitch Renz. I got a few different Facebooks because Facebook is a little, Facebooky. Can't really say what I want to say. Let's go to Instagram. Appreciate all these people who recently followed me. And if you want to get a shout out here on the show, I'm going to give some shout outs in a little bit. Mike, Thero, Ape Bull, I don't know. Oh, man, Michael, and then LW Chacho. Appreciate you guys following me on IG. I also got some follows from Scottish, Chuba, and Finn. Much appreciated, Mitchell Renz 365. All right, let's get back into things that people actually care about. Ryan Kerrigan, a trade target for the Raiders. Again, you're looking at the Washington Redskins. They could be in potentially trading away some of their assets. The fact that Ryan Kerrigan is a player who's going to be able to get after the quarterback. Now, his best days are behind him. There's no doubt about that. But a big fan, okay? Jay Gruden was a big fan of Ryan Kerrigan. And there's been rumors circulating that Jay Gruden is going to be coaching with his brother John next season in Oakland, Vegas. So you could maybe go out and see Jay saying, hey, man, we got to go out and get Ryan Kerrigan, who's a free agent in 2021. Also, he's scheduled to make $10 million, but he could play defensive end and linebacker. So here are the first 4 linebackers that I talked about on today's show. Kyler, John Bostic, Preston Brown, and Ryan Kerrigan. Coming up now, my top 5 linebacker trade targets for the Oakland Raiders before the 2019 NFL trade deadline. Devondre Campbell, linebacker from the Atlanta Falcons. He had over 90 tackles the last 2 seasons. I think that's important. The other reason why I really like Devondre Campbell, he's a hard-working dude. He is going to give you everything he's got on every single play. Now, he played community college football at Hutchinson Community College, okay? And if you go back and you listen to some of his early stories, this dude had to fight for everything that he's ever had. And I appreciate that. He's going to be a Gruden grinder. And he had a game this year where he had 17 tackles. The Falcons, they're going to be selling players. They have no chance of winning or going to the playoffs anytime soon. So you could be looking for the Raiders to go out and get a player like Devondre Campbell. So I want you guys to predict the score. We got a big game this week. Big time game. Raiders versus Texans. The spread right now on BetDSI is Oakland. They're 6.5-point underdogs. The over-under is 51.5 points. The Texans, they're coming off a tough loss to the Colts, a team that we beat. So I want you to predict the score. Raiders versus Texans. Throw it in the comments section. Let me get a sip. What do you guys think? Raiders game? Raiders versus Texans? Who's going? Type me in the comments. 6.5-point underdogs. But if you outright think that the Raiders are going to beat the Texans, go to BetDSI. Put your money where your mouth is. Chatsports.com/bet. The Raiders are 6.5-point underdogs. The Raiders aren't losing to the Texans by more than 6.5 points. Not going to happen. That one's zero Chucky heads. 120% deposit bonus for anybody who watches BetDSI. You shut up back there. The Raiders are not losing by 6.5 points. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Raiders120 for 120% deposit bonus. Let's go to my number 4 player. Player that I talked about on my rumors. And a player that I also talked about on my defensive line. Because guess what? Vic, he is listed as a linebacker. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to throw him on today's show. Because guess what? It's my show. Scheduled to make $12.81 million. We know that Vic Beasley has the upside to be a very good player. It's just, does Vic Beasley want to be a good player? That's the issue. But let's say we want to go out and get Beasley. This is what I think it would ultimately cost the Oakland Raiders. Okay? 2020 4th round pick, that goes to Atlanta. In return, we get a 2020 5th round pick, which we don't have, and we get Vic Beasley, who would play defensive end for the Oakland Raiders. The fact that Adam Schefter tweeted out that we're looking for linebackers, the fact that we're also looking for pass rushers, Vic Beasley could help fit both of those molds. Now, I don't really want to pay Vic $12.81. It's why I think we can give up a 4th round pick. We still need pass rushers. And if Vic Beasley wants to go back to his 2016 form, guess what? It'd be well worth it. Number 3 on the list is Von Miller. Von Miller is by far the most talented player that you're going to see on today's show. The reason why he is not number 1 is because the chances of the Raiders actually getting Von Miller are like a quarter of a Chucky head. Like, it's just not going to happen. There's no way that the Broncos would end up trading their best player to a division rival. Now, sure, I would love to see Von Miller repping some silver and black. There is not a player who I think could really get after the quarterback better than Von Miller. Well, I guess unless you play the Raiders, which we kind of held him to Zippo. But Von Miller is no doubt talented. There's no doubt that the Broncos want to trade away some players. Heck, they've already just traded Emmanuel Sanders, which we did on our main chat sports channel just a few hours ago. Von Miller would be fun. And yes, I know you guys ask me all the time what it would take, but this is what I think it would take for Von Miller. 2 first-rounders. So, would you give up both of our first-rounders to get Von Miller? Type Y for yes or type N for no, because I really don't think that we get Von Miller any other way. Now, sure, Von Miller might not go for 2 first-rounders to another team, but if the Raiders, who are in the AFC West with the Broncos, wanted Von Miller, it would cost 2 first-rounders. So, would you do it? Would you pull the trigger on Von Miller? Y for yes, N for no, but remember, it's for 2 first-rounders. My top 2 players that the Raiders should target in a trade that are linebackers, Alec Ogletree. Number 2 on my list. I like this addition here. So the Giants, they're 2-5? They're not a good football team whatsoever. Daniel Jones went back to looking like Daniel Jones. But a lot of people can be like, but Mitch, didn't the Giants just go out and try to get Alec Ogletree a few years ago? Sure. But they also just signed Deon Buchanan, and the Giants should be sellers. If right now we can look at this New York Giants team and say, wait a minute, maybe we go get Alec Ogletree, because if there's one thing that I've learned in my time I grew up in New Jersey, the Giants don't really value linebackers. So maybe we go out and get Alec Ogletree for the cheap. Because last 3 years, 93, 95, 136 tackles, guess what? That's pretty good. My number 1 player that I think that the Raiders should look to trade for, I've seen this player floated around in multiple Raiders trade rumors, Lavonte David. So the Raiders, the Buccaneers, they went out and they drafted Devin White out of LSU, a player that we talked about a lot in the entire offseason because the Raiders needed a linebacker. Well, don't be surprised because the Buccaneers, they're starting to sell some pieces. They're starting to get rid of some players, and David right now has got 41 tackles. You could potentially see the Buccaneers moving on from David because he has been thrown around in multiple trade rumors. I've seen it on Bleacher Report. I've seen it in a few different places. And if he is actually on the market because they went out and got Devin White, look for the Raiders to swoop in and get this guy. And I think what it would take is a 2020 3rd round pick, but it's our lowest one. The reason why I'm offering this is because linebackers, I think, are a position that aren't really super valued right now in the NFL, and the fact that he's not going to be able to really get after the quarterback either, I think that's why we can get him for a 2020 3rd round pick. So here are my linebacker trade targets. The Raiders need to at least pick up the phone and say, hey, are y'all available? Kyler Fackrell from the Packers, John Bostic, Preston Brown, Ryan Kerrigan, and then my top 5 linebacker trade targets. Devondre Campbell, Vic Beasley, Von Miller would be number 1. However, I don't really think that the Broncos are actually going to give him to the Oakland Raiders. Number 2 is Alec Ogletree, and number 1 is Lavonte David. If you do not like my list of trade targets, hit me up on IG or on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the number 1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.